Hello from Editing River. I just wanted to come on here before the video starts and say that this video I do talk about how it feels to be a trauma survivor in the current state of things. I don't really get into any of the details of the current state of things, but just in case it's triggering for anyone, because I know that's all I'm seeing right now is just a lot of content about traumatizing things. So I just want to give you the warning that I do mention that in this video. I was expecting once they would get together that my characters would speed up the whole process. Like, they'd be so excited to be together that they would just like be all over each other. There'd be spicy scenes, there would be plot progression. We'd get really far into the story and it would just already be the end of the book in like 5 seconds. My characters are reconstructing my concept of time. Welcome back to week 14 and 15 update of Let's Make a Book Baby, where I am taking you all the way from the very beginning of writing this book until I publish it. I had to skip last week because I wasn't feeling well. I still am not feeling the best. I have multiple chronic illnesses, and that really tied into this story, which is part of what really surprised me. So Marcus and Ari are werewolves. They're in a Megaverse book. I still need to title it, but they are childhood best friends, but very long distance. And so they have basically avoided the fact that they have really liked each other all this time. Now they really love each other, even though they haven't dated yet. And in this story so far, they have kind of started to come to terms with that. I'm writing one of the first steamy scenes between the two of them. Part of the reason why I was thinking it would go faster was because when I picture that type of relationship, things would probably go fast. Like, you've been waiting to date someone for so long. Like, what are you gonna do? Are you going to jump at the opportunity or not? Well, first of all, they wouldn't let me keep them separate this whole time in this book. So we had to speed up the process of them accepting this and then coming to terms with it and having more of this awkward learning of how to be in a different relationship with one another, which is very cute. But now that I feel like they're starting to accept that more, I was anticipating them to like snap together like a magnet. That's literally how Ari's dad describes their connection at one point in the book. Well, he's actually saying what he thinks will happen, but that does not really turn out to be the case. I feel like they're actually taking their time, like as if they haven't lost all these years and they actually have an abundance of it. It was just really making me think, because I was like, do I believe this? Because I don't think I do. Like, I literally think they're reconstructing my concepts of rushing and like needing to speed into things and get to the good part and like always driving towards that goal instead of taking your time to slow down and pay attention to what's happening now. Ironically, before this started happening, I was really starting to have this sense that I was behind in writing this book. Usually I do not sit here and go, oh, this was week 15 that I was writing a book. Like, I would just write the book. I wouldn't come update anyone. But that's why I really love this experience, because it's really showing me some of my process that even I am not realizing is happening. Someone had asked me on a stream recently, like, oh, how long does it take usually to write a book? And it made me realize, actually, I write books really fast. Then I get really disappointed because it's over. Like, ironically, I'm not taking time to enjoy it, right? But I feel like sometimes I'll just really get into a story and just like want to get it all down. I have written a lot of this book. It's already at like 80,000 words. And that's what I think I start thinking about, like, oh, I'm taking a long time because it doesn't feel like it's towards the end of the book. But last time I came to update you, it was because I was realizing, oh, I think this is going to be like a series, and I'm actually thinking way far ahead into the next book. I honestly think I'm going to sit down and write the whole book from like beginning of the series to the end, so I can take you along on that process as we go and see how it goes. But the irony of this even more so is that I was like judging myself for being on week 14 and 15 at the time, and I was like, oh my god, I restarted the whole book at week 8. It hasn't even been 2 months since I restarted the book. So like, here I am sitting here judging myself for taking too long when it's not even that long to begin with. And then my characters are here being like, well, guess what? We're gonna give you a hard lesson, like a slap to the face, because we're gonna take our time. I'm like, okay. This is what it is. I feel like that was how week 14 went. I kept going back and forth, going back and forth. I also had multiple different really uncomfortable appointments. Then last week I had another uncomfortable appointment. Basically, like, because of my chronic health issues and like PTSD, my hair started falling out, and I've been getting hair treatments, but they're really painful, like super fucking painful. I'm sorry if you have to do them. I'm not making it sound great. I will say that they get less painful over time, but I couldn't do much that day. Then I had to have a temporary crown put in to fix my tooth because Crohn's disease also apparently affects your teeth a lot. So my dentist literally will be like, your teeth are immaculate. I don't know what, you couldn't have done anything differently to prevent this from happening. And I was like, okay. And then, like, the temporary crown, because of my chronic illness again, it just creates this reaction. Like, my body, if it senses any foreign objects, quote unquote, it's like freaks out, and it does that towards itself, okay, because I have multiple autoimmune diseases. It doesn't like that process, so my dentist like rush orders the final crown, but that means that my mouth goes through a lot of trauma in a short time, because normally you have like time to heal between putting the temporary and the permanent on. It's a whole thing, but the reason why I'm explaining this to you is because Ari also has chronic illness, and I'm writing the scene where he's in a lot of pain. I think that I was kind of misplacing my stress in week 14, and by week 15 I was starting to realize, like in therapy and in my own writing process, like, oh, this time thing is like an excuse, like a reason to be stressed, because the actual reason is that I am triggering myself. I am absolutely triggering myself, my PTSD, and I do this every single time I write a book. And in the back of my head, I'm going, oh my God, I don't want to tell everyone about this. But I know I do want to tell you about this. It's just that, like, I prefer to write about it, but it's also good to talk about it. So Ari is going through basically like a werewolf version of a reproductive pain disorder, because he, like, werewolves have heats, you know? So he has a lot of pain every time he has a heat. But then Marcus realizes that, oh, that's because you're also going through like your menses on top of your heat, like your body's rhythm is all like out of sorts. And then Ari's like, oh, this changes everything. He's also a trans guy, and so I feel like a lot of these things are triggering to me in multiple reasons. And I'm like thinking like, oh my God, are people going to not like that? Because I'm already kind of pushing the boundaries of like this discourse of like, oh, should we show trans men as like this type of person versus this type of person, when really like we're all different people. But I want to write Ari with that representation of what I have seen in Omegaverse books, where everyone's like so obsessed with MPreg, but they're kind of ignoring the fact that trans men can get pregnant in real life too. Of course, there's lots of other people who can, non-binary people and women, and that is part of this conversation. So I think that a lot of people will attack me, both who are very alt-right and who are very progressive, because they're going to think like, oh, I don't want to see my trans men having this, it makes me dysphoric. It's like, what about those of us who do have these things? We are not representations of other people's dysphoria. Anyway, I'm going to get off of my rant there, but I just am sick of a lot of discourse about identities personally, and this character, like when I'm holding these characters, they feel so pure. Like I'm in their brains, I feel like trying to be the best I can, looking at all their past experiences, thinking about their motivations, and there's nothing in him that he's just existing that is like intending to cause other people suffering, and it's his own body. And so I really don't appreciate that argument. I don't think it makes sense, and I think that it is insulting to people who have bodies. People just have bodies, you know? Anyway, I feel like this was bringing up a lot for me. Like, you can tell probably my brain is in more of an agitated place, not just with this, but just in general. And I'm like, it makes me feel like scatterbrained. It makes me feel like things are worse than they are. All of that being said, since I do find it a little bit harder for me to discuss these things openly, and then like dealing with that where I'm like, okay, I know that people are going to be judging me. My brain is in this state of distrust towards other people in both my community and outside of it. And that's not a good place to be and not accurate to how I feel morally. Like, I actually genuinely like people. I want to believe in them and their capabilities. A lot of people do a lot of really good things. A lot of people do bad things, and I'm aware of that. I'm very aware of that. But Ari is in this state where he is having this chronic pain, and that is something that I don't know if I've wrote about it in Soul Survivors, but I have other stories that I had written, and I just like kept them on the back burner, and maybe this is why, like, maybe I'm facing some of this discomfort and it's bringing up some of these things that I'm like, ooh, like it kind of feels vulnerable for people to read about this, even though it's not about me. It's just that I understand, unfortunately, these things. Ari's in this state where he feels like worried about burdening other people because of his chronic illness and feeling like he's like this ticking time bomb of trauma of every time he's going to have a flare up that everyone else around him has to be stressed seeing him in pain, kind of ignoring the fact that he is in pain. And that's something that I relate to, a lot of people with chronic illnesses relate to, and that's hard to have to unpack, sit there and be in someone's brain. And I tried to write from Marcus's perspective, showing him have to struggle through that, but like ironically Marcus is just wanting to be there. He's not like put off or feeling like forced into some traumatic event he doesn't want. Like, he's like choosing to be there. Clearly this is all very personal to me, but on top of that, there's all these things happening in the real world where I'm like, oh my god, like we're seeing more connections of things that I feel like survivors have known, like trauma survivors have known for a long time, in terms of like sexual assault. And that's something that I've written about in every single book. And this one, it just touches on it with some side characters, because I feel like the My Shy Alpha series really, really dove into that, both in domestic relationships and CSA, and that's a lot. It's a lot to unpack, and I feel like as I'm doing those things, I'm like, I don't know if people are hearing. Like, I think they are, and that's why I'm writing these books too, because I want other people to feel heard and to explain from these characters' perspectives in the hopes that it helps people feel heard. But then I'm like looking at the world around me and I'm like, does anyone believe us? Does anyone believe us? Is anyone gonna do anything? Ever? Anyway, that's a dismal thought. That is catastrophizing PTSD like textbook. And it's like combined with OCD, because I have both. Those are two very nasty, like rude diseases that are very mean in your heads. Our heads. I only have one head. Anyway, I don't think that's true. I think a lot of people can personally relate to these types of traumas, and it's horrifying how normalized it is. And I will keep talking about this, but it made me second guess, like, should I be using this story to talk about this? But I already feel like this story is talking about trauma and talking about misogyny, and even if it's allegorical, and that's okay. Like, I have all my other stories, but it just seemed to me like when I'm having these worries, like I'm like, okay, I think this is actually because writing this is forcing me to unpack some of my deeper thoughts about this that are not comfortable to sit with. And that's great. Like, it's great that I am using this as an outlet to do that. Anyway, this is a very different video than usual. I hope that it was still enjoyable and that you are doing well. If you can relate to any of those topics, by the way, I really love the organization RAIN with 2 N's. They have a hotline that you can call if you or someone you know has had any type of sexual assault done to them, which is absolutely not your fault or their fault if that has been done to someone you love. It's important to get support for that, because I know from avoiding these things and the way that my brain works, it kind of just really solidified in my brain that other people are dangerous. And working through that is so important, because I am a person too, and I need to feel safe within myself in order to function. So I hope that you can get the support you need. I will link that down below in the description, and I will see you again next week. Goodbye for now.